Hello and welcome to part 2 of our Visit With Us Grand Electric Road Trip. And we have so much to squeeze into this episode, I can't even give it a proper intro. So if you want all the fancy stuff, please watch part 1 for the rather self-indulgent intro fluff. We begin just north of Edinburgh city centre in the Port District of Leith, dubbed fancifully as one of the world's coolest neighbourhoods. We're not going to show you too much because we did an in-depth review of Fingal, the luxury ship-cum-hotel where we stayed, in a previous video, and the link to that is in the top right-hand corner, pow, right now. It's well worth a watch.
Ready? Yeah.
While in Leith, you simply cannot leave without a trip to the Royal Yacht Britannia, permanently docked just up the road, the entrance being accessed through a rather unregal shopping centre. Obviously, Her Majesty likes to bag a couple of pairs of cheap joggers from Primark before boarding. Well, she would if she still used the ship, which has been in retirement since 1997. The tour is excellent and guides you through most of the areas of the ship, from the officers' quarters to the officers' mess and the slightly less comfy crew facilities. The highlight is obviously the royal quarters of the ship, which have been immaculately preserved. Just look at these early iPhone prototypes. There's got to be a Candy Crush switch in there somewhere. Fans of the Netflix drama The Crown would be fascinated to discover that the scenes in the drama were not actually filmed here. The production company worked closely with Britannia to recreate every detail. Bit of a waste of time, effort and money, seeing as it was already here, if you ask me. But then no one is asking me, and I am blessed with a bit too much common sense at times. Looking around, it got me thinking, how on earth do they keep all this expensive stuff upright and unbroken in heavy seas? No visit would be complete without stopping at the onboard cafe for a cup of English tea and a piece of incredibly expensive cake, which was delicious, I'd admit, even if it did cost me an internal organ and next year's summer holiday. Well, someone's got to pay for the upkeep of the roller, Your Majesty. We wandered back for one last look at Fingal and, vowing to return, set off north towards the Firth of Forth and the world-famous Forth Bridges. Right, now we're on the road. Today we'll be travelling from Leith to North Queensferry, just across the Firth of Forth, for a bit of bridge fancying. Then, a trot through the Grampians to the Dalwhinnie Distillery for a dram or two. Then on to Loch Ness to have a bit of a moan, and finally ending up outside Inverness, gawping at the beauty of the Beauly Firth. Not wanting to waste this fabulous photo op, which I was infinitely more excited for than Helen, we pulled off and found a tiny car park in North Queensferry that was more or less under the original Forth Bridge. Okay, we've just left Edinburgh and the Fingal, and we've just crossed over the Forth Road Bridge, and we've found this, well, it's North Queensferry. And it is really quite fascinating because you're literally in a free car park. This iconic structure was opened in 1890 and is now proudly a UNESCO World Heritage Site, along such icons as the Great Wall of China and the Taj Mahal, neither of which can boast being made of 53,000 tonnes of steel and 6.5 million rivets. I'm sure you've heard of the term "it's like painting the Forth Bridge," referring to the days when painting the bridge took so long, once you'd finished it, the other end would be do a recoat, meaning a task that can never be completed. Bit like doing the laundry in our house with 3 grown kids then. 200 trains still cross this bridge every single day. That's right, 200. Every day. Being the first time we'd seen it, I raved about it rather too fervently until Helen told me to get in the car and continue our journey. Being a faithful servant and wanting a quiet life, I naturally obeyed. Fast forward upwards through Perth and into the Grampian Mountains, we couldn't resist stopping off at the Dalwhinnie Distillery, just off the main A9 road on the way to Inverness and the start of the NC500. I've actually got a bottle of Dalwhinnie Winter's Gold at home in our freezer, because that's where you're supposed to keep it. Minus 18 degrees. Sort of comes out a bit syrupy. Maybe I've got that wrong. Maybe we're not supposed to keep it in the freezer. Well, let's find out. Due to social distancing, we've had to have our temperature taken, and they only allow in 8 at a time, which is quite exclusive. The whiskey in here was reassuringly expensive, a bit like the royal cake I had earlier, so we picked up a couple of the smaller items on offer. We've got a budget, you know. Back on the road after a quick charge at the Aviemore supercharger, the last one we'll be able to use en route. Oh dear. And having witnessed some dodgy-looking geezers removing the actual chargers, we decided to take a small detour along Loch Ness, the northern end of which is a few miles from Inverness. Loch Ness is 23 miles long and up to 240 metres deep, and holds the largest volume of fresh water in Great Britain. It also holds the record of being the biggest anticlimax in Great Britain, because it's actually quite boring and comparatively dull to look at. Well, you know, it's a long lake, isn't it? I mean, just a long lake. We stopped midway along the loch at the visitors' centre, built entirely around the myth of the Loch Ness monster, Nessie. It was late afternoon, and the only monstrous thing we encountered was the entrance fee to the visitors' centre. No thanks, not at 4:30 in the afternoon. We've all seen the famous blurry sepia pictures of something that looked like a fake plastic and wooden plesiosaur back in 1934. Google surgeon's photograph for the most famous, which was later revealed to be just that anyway, plastic and wood. Nah, we ain't taking the bait. But Nessie apparently contributes nearly $80 million annually to Scotland's economy, as well as having a fondness for Scotland's best gelato, it seems. So, what do I know?
Oh, is it a tight one? Yeah.
Back towards Inverness, and just along the Beauly Firth, we came to our next overnight stop, Bunchrew House Hotel. This is more like it. Set in 20 acres of gardens and woodland on the shores of the Firth, and boasting probably the longest entrance driveway in Scotland, this 400-year-old 4-star hotel is every bit the eye-catcher, with its powder pink facades and Hogwarts turrets. Each bedroom is individually decorated, and ours was as expected, traditional, warm and comfy. The bathroom wasn't the most modern or well appointed we've ever seen, but it was clean and did the job fine. The double aspect windows were a nice feature, and the side one looked out on the Tesla destination chargers, so we could check in on Scarlett. Literally on the shore, as you can see. And we've got 3 Tesla chargers. And our room is there. How amazing is that? Amazing as that may be, of course, the show stealer here was the shoreline and the view. And what a view. The hotel public areas are as you would expect from a house from the 16th century. Traditional, with lots of dark wood, panelling, decorative ceilings and numerous large oil paintings of historical figures, probably all with a connection to the house. No, I didn't look, so I can't confirm. The main dining room was dark but strangely comforting, like being inside a giant black cherry. And we were lucky enough to be seated in front of this gorgeous picture window overlooking the water. We couldn't have asked for more. But that wasn't the best bit of our evening. The food! The restaurant holds 2 AA rosettes and deserves more. The evening meal, although not particularly cheap, is described as traditional Scottish with a modern twist. The word twist. Modern twist. Utilising fresh, locally sourced ingredients, and I'm telling you, it was delicious. With breakfast living up to the previous night's reputation, we left the hotel delighted that our first official night on our NC500 adventure was such a success. We were now officially on the world-famous route, which starts and ends in Inverness, and it's here we must finish this episode. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for the rest of the series, and much, much more. There's lots coming. Subscribe. Thank you very much.